glad science, we're glad to see you. I'm Sakshi, and in this video I'll be going over photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a process in which all organisms in the plant kingdom and the algae in the Protista kingdom convert light or solar energy into glucose. Here you can see the formula for photosynthesis, which is kind of like the opposite of cellular respiration. If you haven't caught up on our video on cellular respiration, click somewhere in this space to be linked to it. But anyway, the equation for photosynthesis is carbon dioxide, 6 carbon dioxides, plus 12 waters go to produce, with the addition of light, glucose or sugar, 6 waters, and 6 oxygens. Now let's talk about chloroplasts. The chloroplast is a double-membraned organelle present in cells of plants and algae that undergo photosynthesis. The grana, which is made up of thylakoids, is where light-dependent reactions occurs, and the stroma is where the light-independent reactions or Calvin cycle occurs. So here you have the grana, which is this big stack, and the little thylakoid discs are what make up the grana, and the stroma is the area inside of the chloroplast. But before we get into the light-dependent and light-independent reactions, like I just said, let's talk about light and photosynthetic pigments. For those of you who are not familiar with how light works, light can either be absorbed, reflected, or transmitted. If something is green, for example, it's reflecting only that green light and absorbing every other color. That is why if you were to shine a green light on a plant, it would die, and because it would not be able to absorb that light and turn it into glucose as its food source. For photosynthetic pigments, you should know that substances that absorb light in the visible spectrum are called pigments. The photosynthetic green pigment, chlorophyll A, participates directly in the light reactions. Other pigments, called accessory pigments, pass on photons of light to chloroplast A to aid in photosynthesis. The 3 main accessory pigments that you need to know are chlorophyll B, which is green, carotenoids, which are yellow, red, or orange and are what give carrots their orange appearance, and phycobilins, which are red. Now that you know how light works, let's talk about light-dependent reactions. Light-dependent reactions occur in the grana, as mentioned before, and produce energy, or ATP, and photons for the light-independent reactions. As the chlorophyll absorbs light, electrons become energized and enter the electron transport chains. Just like in cellular respiration, a proton gradient is created as electrons pump across the thylakoid membranes. ATP is actually created as the protons go through the ATP synthase, just like in cellular respiration. Light-independent reactions occur in the stroma, and its main function is to make sugar, which you should know as pGal, or phosphoglyceraldehyde, which is why most of us refer to it as just pGal, because it's clearly hard to say. But to understand how the process actually works, let's look at the simplified equation. So the equation is as follows. Carbon dioxide plus protons plus electrons are what create the sugar known as pGal. The incorporation of carbon dioxide into sugar is called carbon fixation. It occurs in a process known as the Calvin cycle, and the most important enzyme that is required for the cycle to proceed is rubisco. The last thing I'll leave you with is the C4 photosynthesis, which is the modification for plants that live in hot and dry environments. Those plants have anatomical modifications to survive in that particular environment to minimize the loss of water and maximize sugar production. So thank you for checking us out, and I'm always glad to be of help.